Hello again. The next video is going to be about troops. And really, I've covered a lot about troops in the lists, but the biggest thing I have to say is, and it really goes for any unit that you have with Dark Eldar, the biggest mistake people make with them is unnecessary upgrades. A lot of people think that with Dark Eldar it's always um, quality over quantity, and you have to have the most elite squads, but it's really not what it's about because Um, it's a kind of mix of the two. If we don't have very many units, we're probably going to lose because we're so squishy. But then again, we have to have some upgrades in order to give them enough killing power to make up for their point costs and win us the game. But we can't put in unnecessary upgrades. Like the biggest one people do is they think, oh, the Sybarite models for the Cavalite Warrior Sergeants look so cool with those close combat weapons, and so I'm going to upgrade them with close combat weapons in case they ever get in, which 90% chance they're never going to touch close combat when you play, because that's just not where they belong. So the biggest thing is don't even bother taking sergeants with Cavalry Warriors. They have leadership, I believe 8, which is pretty good. That's Space Marine leadership. If you give them a Sybarite, they'll have leadership 9, which is really the only reason I would do it. And even then, I really wouldn't. That's only if you have points to play with and you don't know where else to put it. Which you should take off some more unnecessary upgrades and just take more units. Because the more units we have, the more chance, really, that we have of winning. So, like, and also you can give your units transports if you take away really unnecessary upgrades. Like Reavers, don't put sergeants with them. Cavalites, don't put sergeants with them. Scourges, don't put sergeants with them. Just stuff like that. Another thing is the troops really aren't meant to go out and kill except for witches. We only have really 2 troop choices unless you take Rax with a Covenant army, in which case you have 3 or 4 if you take Baron Sathanix, I think, and you get Hellions as troop choices, which I have only tried once and it worked pretty well. But the biggest thing I would say is always put our troops in transports as well, along with unnecessary upgrades. Because if we're out in the open, chances are we're going to get shot at, which is never good for us because we have really crappy armor saves. We are not meant to be out in the open, we're meant to be hugging cover and inside transports. And so, that's why I usually have them in Venoms. I really don't take 10-man squads of Cavalites because they really don't really often go out and kill things. And even if it's only a squad of 5, you still get a blaster, and you get to put them in a Venom, which is a lot better transport than a Raider, just because it has those bigger guns. And so, I really don't, and if I want a 10-man squad, then I go with 10 troop one, because those are the things that go out and kill. Cavalites are really just meant to sit on objectives and hold them and defend them, which most cases they really won't have to defend them because when we get to place objectives now, we like to place them in our deployment zone so that we don't have to go and get them and fight over them. They have to come to us, which opponents usually do that too, but chances are you can send in our fast units like our Reavers and contest their objectives at the end of the game and get the win. So, and I can't stress enough how troops are really the backbone of the army. So if you don't have solid troop choices, then you're not going to win. Because if you don't have solid troop choices, then they're going to die and they're going to get wiped out, and you're not going to be able to hold any objectives unless it's the Scouring, which is great for us because all of our vehicles are technically fast attack, so they get to capture. And so I guess really just make sure you have your troops good before you move on to other things. That's why, like, in that 750 point list and in that 1000 point list, I have 3 troop slots filled in relatively low points cost, whereas most other armies are only going to have the compulsory 2 and then they're going to move on to other things. But we have to take troop choices because really our troop choices are really some of the most important things. Like, it's great when you get the squad of Trueborn and they go out and kill a whole bunch of stuff, and then you might wipe your opponent so that they can't capture objectives, but they can't capture objectives. Whereas with the Trueborn or the regular Cabalites, you can, if you really want to, you can have them go out and kill. While, say, 2 of the squads sit on objectives, you have 1 left in these bigger point games, and you go out and have a kill. So then the witches, they are to go out and kill, but they're also some of the best killers that we have, because they are really formidable in close combat. They have 4-up invulnerable saves, and they get a lot of attacks, and they're just generally good in close combat, especially with their initiative 6, which some HQs don't even have initiative 6. Like, a lot of Space Marines, I think, have initiative 4 or 5 for their HQs. So we go even before their HQs do. So we have a chance of killing their HQ before he gets to do anything, which really pisses them off and makes us really happy. And then one of the biggest things, which I've already said with witches, is go after the little units first. Pick on the little guys, and then that'll give us enough strength to go after the bigger things. Where if you really, it's really great even if you only have 1 pain token, because you have Feel No Pain, and if you fail those 4-up saves, you get another chance. And then Furious Charge is even better. You get a higher strength when you charge. Fearless, really, it usually doesn't, it never has really done a whole lot for me, because sometimes it's better to fall back, but usually you don't fall back, because usually you're probably going to win combat. Really, the only things that have really held up against my witches are Gene Stealers, and which they're pretty evenly matched, and Terminators, which really you shouldn't send witches after Terminators, but unless you definitely have the advantage. Like, the time I did it, I had 15 witches in 1 squad, and he had a squad of 5 Terminators, and so I ended up winning just because I had so many attacks, and he just couldn't save everything. But that's the only reason I won. Don't go after bigger units like that unless you are sure that you have the advantage, or you're probably not going to do so well. And one of the biggest things about Dark Eldar is how unforgiving they are. If you lose an entire squad, your chances of winning go down significantly. So, really, you have to be a little bit reckless with Dark Eldar, but at the same time, you have to be really careful. So, with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap this video up. And always remember, unnecessary upgrades are bad, and troops will be the backbone of any army you have. So that's all. I'll see you at the next video.